Thank you, Carolyn. It is my privilege to introduce the guest speaker for the Gilmer Rotary Club today. So Gwen, you can go ahead and begin to make your way up here, and I'll give you this microphone in a few seconds. Gwen Jewett was born in Texas, you know, the good part of Texas around here in this area, I think, and spent most of her time later part of her growing up time in California, and worked around different places in the country, and has a BS degree in management of information systems. She's been back around here for the last 15 years and 5 years now in her capacity as coordinator of the historic Upshur Museum. And so I feel like Ms. Jewett has the personality and the heart for this kind of thing, and I'm so glad to introduce her to you today.
Hello, everyone. This is going to be awkward for me holding this mic.
It's right behind you, Bill.
Okay. Can you hear me?
No.
No.
You have to use it. You don't have to use it because we're all half deaf.
Okay. Okay, so who's been to the Historic Upshur Museum lately? Oh, that was impressive. I like that. Well, if you've been there, then you know me. I've been around town for a while now. Almost 5 years here at the Historic Upshur Museum. And my second job there, working with the Historic Upshur Museum, is I'm the coordinator of the museum, but a chairperson for the Historic Commission. So those two entities work together to provide a place where the artifacts and historical items, information in paper, all of that information is stored there, the history of the county there at the museum. So it's a building that was the old post office. It became a museum in '93. We have a board of directors, and some of my board members are here. Mr. Steve Stewart is our current treasurer. And is anyone else? No. His wife, Carolyn Marshall, is our president.
My wife.
Yeah,
Tim's wife. Excuse me. Steve Stewart, treasurer. Our Mayor Marshall's wife is our president. Okay, so as I said, the museum, we have there information related to our schools and our counties, our churches, communities, a lot of historical objects. So you really do need to take time, if you haven't been there, to come back. Also, we have the Hayes photographs. If you've been on our website, you can access some old photographs that was done by the Hayes studio. The historical markers and information related to the community is also there. I have a little PowerPoint presentation, but it's not the same as a lot of, I didn't bring a lot of pictures, etc. with me. But I hope you can follow along, because it takes a lot to make this museum work. It takes our board of directors and our volunteers, the docents, and just a group of people to keep it going. So if you take a look, I want to let you know some of these names, because it's important to know these people in the community, and something that I'm still learning. But the executive board, you probably, if you can see some of these names up here, Jack Baird and Ann Bates, her dad, grandfather, I believe, wrote a book there regarding the history of Upshur County. So we have a lot of authors there, local authors that we have their information, their books on display there also. These executive board members, they meet and give me direction and feedback as far as how to run the museum. As I said, our president is Carolyn Marshall, the VP is Steve Stewart, he's also the treasurer, and Butch Ragland is second VP. Amy Patterson is our secretary. We have a registered agent, it's still Mac Dean over at the First National Bank. I am the coordinator there. Our tech support comes from Mr. Wayne Oney, and our county judge Tufteller is our counsel of record. Our docents, all the docents and volunteers are very important to the organization. We have Velma Franklin, and it goes back and forth because some of our board members are also docents, and they volunteer also. So Jane Davis and Linda Clemens, Enola Hargris, Angie Heath, Louise Hill, Dorothy Cole, Julia Davis, Peggy Covington, Deborah Harper, Jane Robinson, Carolyn, Bette Conley. We have a couple there, Stephen and Sarah Cole, and also my husband Gordon, who volunteer a lot and do a lot of the work there that we need. On the Historic Commission, there's Virginia Higginbottom, Mary Kirby, myself, Mr. Eddie Turner, Patsy Williams, Artis Bell Sr., who is my dad, and also Claudette Bennett, who has been ill and has not been able to be with us a lot. And she's also taking care of her mother. So these people here are, that's all you see up here. We spend a lot of time together in trying to keep the museum functioning. Okay. Now, those are the people, and this is what we're working toward, is our memberships, dues, donations, and memorials. And with that said, I don't know if you can see this database clearly, but it's important because all the memberships, fees, and dues, and donations that come into the museum, we log them in, and if you can see at the bottom of that, it's a total of what we've gained up to date so far. From those donations, a little over $8,000, and again, from our membership dues, a little under $6 grand there. So these people that's within this database, if you can see the amounts of money that's donated to the museum, I thought it's very important that you should see that, because we have these local people that deliver to us $25, $100, $75 here and there. All of that adds up to really help the museum. It's listed, if you can't see it, but this month alone, we've been having a car show out in front, which, can't think of Mr. Budd's last name. Hutchins. Okay, he presents this, and this is a good thing to bring people into the museum, and just to have some activities on the square when there is nothing going on the weekend. Okay, so here you can see where he's donated $100, and we've sold gift shop items for over $150. But look down, you can see where we have Preceptor Pie New there has donated $500. The Marshalls donate, Custom Commodities. These are businesses that's in the area that really help sustain us. In addition to their donations, you see within these donations are memorials. So when your loved ones pass away, people, will donate to the museum. Membership dues, again, you can see the level of commitment. These dues come in monthly. Memberships are assigned a certain month that they will send their dues in. So in September, you can see where Mr. Stewart Realty paid his dues on time, so he's okay. Gilmer National Bank gave us $1,000, and you can just follow it down. And even there in March, Mr. Russell Green kept his promise and donated us his $1,000. So the second is a continuation from that, so that I would include everybody from the first of the year. So you take a look at that. I do see the 20th Century Club here and others that help us. Also, you can notice that we have a fundraiser, the appraisal fair in February, and you can see the amounts that we gained from that. And that's all from community support. We could not do that without the efforts of Betty Slocum and the board and of course the community to help us move those fundraisers right along. Okay, I'm stuck. So, where are we? Finance. Finance, we're looking good. You know, and back in July 2019, we have a donation for Mr. James Stevens' family, and this has really helped our operating budget and our building maintenance. All of our accounts and balances are good. Our expenses, the most one that we have to pay out is through SWEPCO, our electric, because we have all of those air conditions outside, all of those units to support the information that's inside. So hardware, software, these are our accounts that we have to take to deal with our daily operating budget. So thanks to that donation, we are in good standings. Now I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Historic Upshur Museum and the designation that it received when it became a historical landmark. Because it's that historical landmark title, we have to take care of that building the best that we can. Not only because it's the the museum, but because it's a registered local historic landmark. We've been working on the inside to help reduce our costs with SWEPCO. We've blocked a lot of vents. Our bathroom has become available. All of this was not in use, I would say, 2 years ago. So the air conditioning and heating units, all of those have been serviced. With the exterior of the building, if you see the building, you notice that it could use some work. It's sort of sitting lopsided. I didn't bring any pictures because I'm sure if you've been there, walking up the steps, you're wondering why this globe is a little tilted. Well, all of that is before my time, but I did submit to Austin a request to upgrade the outside, and they came back with approval to do such. They said that we could clean the stone on top and they gave us the method to do that, to paint the rails, to clean out those light globes, also to incorporate LED, new lighting sources, or whatever's up to date that we could use. And we could do that and also repair our gift shop sign. The basement of the building still collects water. When it rains, the basement is not finished, but it's clean. At one time we did have a flood there where we had to take out all of everything that was stored there, because it was water damage. Our roof, we have to just really be careful with our roof. It's a flat top roof, and when it rains, it leaks in different locations, but we've been really good in watching those repairs and fixing them as needed. With the roof, in December, I'll wait on that, but in December we do plan to submit a grant to help us with the roof, and it would be a matching grant. We put up 20 and they would do the other portion of that. But I've received estimates for a new roof for over 50. So that's an issue we'll have to do because it's all of everything that's in that building, and the building itself is what needs to be saved and need to be kept. And the only thing to do that is to keep water from coming on the inside, because the building is old. You get, when it rains, it's something between the brick and mortar and the wall. So I'm not a contractor, although it seems like that sometimes, but that is our problem, and the only way to address that is really to address the roof issue. Historical markers. This year, we installed a marker out at the East Springfield Baptist Church. We installed one in the Valley View community. And I understand that there has not been any dedication or markers installed in Upshur County for a while. So we were real proud to do that. Dixon Orphanage Cemetery has received their marker, but because it's in a brushy area behind the Bubba's Barbecue place, we'll need the road department to clear a path for us. So we're waiting to get on their schedule to do that. All of this is that the Historical Commission, along with the museum, we have to support each other in presenting this historical information and exhibits to the public. So it's important that the two work together, because when we have these markers out there, people are coming from the community, they want a marker for whatever reason, for their church, for their school, for homes. However, the markers application process is suspended this year because of the foundry. The foundry went out of business and they're looking for a new place to do that. So marker cleanup, this is all volunteer again. The instructions and the material is handed down, and all of that is given through the Texas Historical Commission. Cemetery cleanup, it seems to be a problem, but all of this charters under the Historical Commission, and people that come into the museum are volunteering basically for both. So people come in and ask what can they do. It could either be marker cleanup. I've had Boy Scouts come to earn a badge, and they've been able to go out and clean a few markers. The cemeteries or cleanup is a problem because I believe that the elderly people that were maintaining those have become too elderly to do it, and no one's taken over. And the county's charter is so full that it just can't maintain them. So, you know, trying to work with some of these groups where the cemeteries are neglected so that they could set up an association. Maybe the families that are already buried there can support, you know, financially to help pay to get those cemeteries cleaned up. Again, the exterior of the museum and the interior is the main reason that this building is of value to Upshur County, and it behooves us not to keep the water away from it and try to keep that roof replace the roof so that it could be sustainable for, you know, the next generation, because it's been up there quite a while. I did not have too much else to say to you guys. I did want to put that up there because we have not been receiving funding from the county, and they did release $2,000 this year for us to use. And that's exactly what we plan to do, is to use that working with the Historical Commission to clean up some of the markers. At some point, we may even have to pay someone to address the cemetery issue. We also want to use some of that money to assist the museum in presenting traveling tours, traveling exhibits that are history related for the public. Are there any questions?
This is strictly volunteer that takes care of the docents and all that, as far as, you're the only paid employee at the museum, is that correct?
How much does your appraisal, does it bring in when y'all do that? When you do the appraisal?
Sometimes 4K, sometimes 4K. We get a big donation from the Clothes Closet. They are our largest supporter at that time of year.
I was just curious.
More questions? Yes, sir.
Tell us again what your regular hours are open there to the public at the museum?
Yeah, the regular hours are Thursday and Friday from 10 to 4 and Saturdays from 10 till 2. However, if you have a group that's 5 or more, you just call and schedule that, and we'll try to have someone there for them to tour. I do have groups of kids coming from Gilmer Elementary, homeschool groups tour. Just had a homeschool group of about 35 kids come through last week. And when they come through, you know, volunteers are important. Sarah and Cole will come. I have materials there for them to demonstrate dream catchers. Now, the kids love this, so I'll try to have some activity there for them to do. So the last one we had a crowd of 30-something kids, all ages. Even my grandson, who was 5 years old, was visiting from California. He was there. So you had all these little kids up to teenagers, and the older ones were helping the younger ones under the supervision of Cole and his wife to do dream catchers. And then they had something to take away. And we have the videos there, so we sit them down and they watch either the Gilmer video or the beginnings of Upshur County.
I don't know whether you've seen the Gilmer video or not, but there's a video that starts kind of, I don't know exactly when it started, but it goes up through the 60s and maybe early 70s to show a lot of the Embry stuff, but it also shows a lot of the historic buildings that were there, the businesses that were there. It's the music that goes along with it, and it's a very entertaining. It has a lot of entertainment value and historic value for the people that I know that y'all would know a lot of the people that are in this video. It's something that you can be able to purchase from the museum.
Okay, so yeah, I wanted you to restate that again about the video. In other words, you can sell that little video in the
We do have
museum,
it
we
for
can
sale.
buy it in there.
We have both of them for sale. One of them is called Surveying Upshur County. And the kids really enjoy that when the guy comes out with the telescope and he's looking around. And Amaret's class even borrowed that. So, you know, I think they enjoy it.
And I walked through the museum, but I didn't really pay enough attention to see if there's anything that you can punch to watch or something like that. You don't know where,
No, we're not automated.
you don't have any electronic stuff.
No.
But they're always changing something in the museum, maybe only minor things, sometimes major things. Right now, they put out last year's duchesses, or queens, and candidates' dresses, is that correct?
The gowns,
Gowns.
they are gowns.
Okay.
Yes.
Like a dress to me.
We're in the process of putting that display up, yes, because the queen has to, you know, do her Passover. We don't have her dress there yet, but all the other ones are there. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I just want to let you know your best source of volunteers for cleaning up those cemeteries, and I've had a lot of success in other places. Talk to the sheriff and the probation officer.
Sir, I've been there.
That is the trustees and the probationers,
I would think so, but it's not working for me.
because nobody else will show up.
I mean, even at the probation office, I do have a person coming over to help with, you know, minor stuff inside the museum. But as far as going out in the field, you know, the list shortens when you say out in the sun. Maybe it'll get better when it gets cooler.
Yeah, well, in other places, genealogy group I
Yeah.
work with, we did all that.
But just
And
know
another thing
that,
to do, when you clean these cemeteries up, is be sure and photograph every headstone that you can
oh yes,
that you can read, and download that to the Texas Tombstone Project. It's a state-funded website to post tombstone pictures of, so
Okay.
there is a permanent record.
okay. Well, there's several throughout the county that need attention. And like I say, the elderly people that were maintaining it, they can't do it anymore.
They
I know we have young groups, you know, the Boys Club, Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, even the 4-H group that could help us. We do have to reach out and get on their schedule, and that's just been the problem. Even with the probation officer, I mean, those guys that are in the orange suits, maybe, but I'm sure they need supervision. But when you tell someone that's just working off some hours for something they did, they're sort of picky, it seems, at
Well,
what
we
they
always
do.
find it amazing that other counties in other states, you ask the sheriff or the probation officer about somebody going out and cleaning up a cemetery, and they say, "You bet, we're going out there and work them like a dog."
No, I wish that was so, but I'm having problems with that. So much so, out of the $2,000, I'm willing to pay to get some of these that really need it. done. So if you know anyone with the equipment and willing to do it, please get me their names. That way we can get ahead of the game. I mean, if they don't say anything and the cemetery grows up, and then you've lost it. That's what happened with the Dixon Cemetery. For years, it's been up there, overgrown, and then it takes someone just walking around to say, hey, wait a minute, you know. And then we go from there, but we wouldn't want that to happen like that. I mean, a resting place for our loved ones should be kept in our county. So, and that's part of the county's charter also, is to provide the equipment and the manpower to do such. But again, everyone's overloaded in their schedule. Any more questions? Amaret?
Will you open the normal business hours for Gilmer?
Yes, we will. And I heard someone's talking about the floats and whatnot. We have a float, the Irish Rotary Club. So, look, watch out.
Yes.
Thanks for your attention.